This is how you make balloon bubble writing in Adobe Illustrator using the built-in 3D features. So first thing we're going to need is some writing to actually turn 3D. So we're just going to write the word text, and this particular effect tends to work better with rounded fonts. So we're going to go for a font called Volt Rounded, and I'm just going to stick that there. So even though this is the bold version of the font, I think we could probably do it going a little bit bolder. So I'm just going to increase the stroke here, and when that goes 3D, it'll just reflect what you see visually there. And also we just need to adjust the color, because black you won't be able to see any shadows. So if we just go for a kind of a pale blue, or maybe something a little bit darker, it won't matter, we're going to texture map it. This is only so that we can see the textures on it. So hit OK there. I'm just going to copy the hex value and paste it across into the stroke. So there's our text. So what we want to do now is go to Effect, 3D and Materials, and any of these will generate the same menu. So I'm just going to go for Inflate because that's what we're going for now. And here is our text. There are various options you can explore in these menus here. I'm not going to go too much into them now. The main one I'm looking at now would be the depth one, just so I can control how deep the extrude is, and obviously you can go pretty crazy with that, but that's not the effect we're looking for right now. Inflate both sides. What that does is, you see here, you can see it looks quite flat on the back, but if you hit the checkbox, it will make it bubble writing at the back as well. It does slightly make it a little bit more abstracted than, say, if it wasn't there, but it's negligible. You can increase the stroke width if you want to create even more bubble writing, and then obviously you don't want them touching, because I want them to look kind of like balloons, like goldy balloons. So that'll do, I think. That'll do there. Obviously, I'm just going to show you really quickly what the twist and the taper and the volume do. So the volume just basically makes it more and less inflated. The twist, you're going to need to add some depth to kind of appreciate what this does, and the taper. So the taper, now that you've made an extrusion, you have a front and a back end. So the taper will just shrink the back end smaller, and the twist will just twist the back end. And you can do all sorts of crazy stuff there. And that's basically it. So going back to the script, if you could call it a script, and we're going to now experiment with our materials, and Adobe very kindly provided a material library based on their Adobe Substance materials library here, and that's what we're going to use. So the default material will always reflect whatever color you've chosen here, and obviously you can do other crazy stuff there by changing the stroke color, and then changing the stroke width will then reflect that. If you want to do that, you can. And the material we're going to use, this should override everything, would be the well, I'm just waiting for that to update. Oh no, sorry, I need to select the object. Whoops. So the materials will obviously reflect they'll cover the entire object. So as opposed to being able to have a separate stroke and fill color, just to bear that in mind. And that basically kind of is it, really. What I want to show you as well is I want a gold balloon. Nice gold balloon, nice gold balloony text. And so let's just nudge these in. So quick Illustrator top tip is if you hold the Option key and use your arrow keys, you can kern your letters, adjust all your letters kerning there. If you highlight the whole thing, you can adjust your tracking, which is handy. So there's our gold 3D text. Now we have obviously some lighting options here as well. This is your standard lighting, and there's another plethora of options and stuff you can explore there, but for now we're just going to go with the standard kind of lighting because that's pretty cool. Obviously as well with the materials, I just want to make you aware of one thing in the materials panel that's quite important. You can change it. Obviously there's another plethora of options down here you can play with, but if you're having trouble with textures, one of the things to look at is the repeat, because if the texture looks like it's too kind of, I don't know, like, too kind of, obviously the minimum is 25, but if it looks like it's not quite high resolution or not quite repeated, the tiles aren't there, you can just increase the number of tiles, and that'll give you what you need. The texture resolution is here as well. So you want higher resolution textures, you can go right up to 2048 pixels, which is pretty groovy. And that'll just give you a higher quality render. So then when you do hit render, we have covered lighting, so I'm just going to hit render on here, and it's going to give us a kind of a rendered version of what we just had. And you can still render this like you could with any kind of render. I believe it's GPU based. If they've got common sense, it will be, because the GPUs in the Apple systems are pretty good. Obviously GPU on Windows based systems are pretty good too, but I don't use Windows. So there you have it. There's your text, and maybe we'll just type something seasonal. I'm just going to turn off the renderer, and I'm not dyslexic, but I did misspell that. Happy. And now I'm just going to Alt drag, or sorry, Option drag used to be called Alt, and Happy Christmas. And there we go. You can make your nice little Christmas cards now, and you can have Happy Christmas written on them. Obviously the S is a bit gone a bit mental, but you know, you can always mess around with that and change it as you see fit. What we can do in this case, I think we're probably going to have to just turn off the stroke, and that'll give us a nice little bubbly effect. We can also just turn the stroke down a bit, and that should give us a little bit more leeway with the S's there, which are going a bit mental. So that's just a little pitfall to bear in mind if you're doing this kind of thing. You can run into problems here and there, and it's good to just know how to fix them. So that now concludes our tutorial. I'm just going to render that up, and we've got a nice little Happy Christmas. And I know it's not Christmas yet, but a lot of you designers out there, you may have your Christmas promos coming up. So I just thought I'd make this tutorial because it's a handy little thing that you can use as an effect on various things. And I'm probably going to use it myself. That concludes our tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. All the best. Namaste, and I will catch you in the next one. Good luck with your creative journey.